Hi and welcome. So I'm going to be taking a quick dry run at creating a robot from a blueprint given to me. So this is for the Bluezoo Bluezoo Bootcamp project, and I want to identify any pain points in the task which has been asked of the candidates. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do. So first things first, let's bring in our. Actually, let's delete the default cube because that's tradition. I'm just going to drag in an image with the blueprint on it. I'm going to Alt-R-G-S to clear scale, rotation, and location. I'm going to go to my front view by hitting 1 on the numpad, hit RX90 to rotate it 90 degrees, and now it's facing me. Lovely jubbly. Now I need to get this image to match the grid size of Blender, assuming that's the scale that we want to create it in. There's no scale key on here, so it's hard to say. What I would recommend is like putting markers on here saying, you know, from tip of this finger to tip of this finger, we want it to be 2 meters and him to be 1 meter high, or whatever the measurements are that you require. We haven't got that at this stage, so I'm going to just press on and I'm going to line my grid up, line the images grid up with the grid in Blender. That's a fairly decent way of figuring out a scale. So I've just taken the opacity down on my image plane. I'm going to scale from the image cursor, which is at the center of the scene. I'm going to scale it up until it seems, and bear in mind, obviously these grids sort of changed in detail as you zoom in and out. So sometimes it's displaying different things. So something to be aware of. It's not going to be easy to get consistent scale results without those scale measurements in place. Great, so that's scaled up. I'm going to apply that scale so that it doesn't show in here. And now I'm going to move this to the center of the scene with the robot's butt resting on the center line. Okay, and I'm going to duplicate this with Shift D. I'm going to rotate Z 90 degrees and move to the side view and put the side view image there. So now we have this three-dimensional representation of our dude. Now, if I could remember how to crop this image down, I probably would. But I can't recall how to do that, or if you even can do that with this kind of this empty image. Never mind, it's not important. It will just slow us down. So a couple of different ways I can approach this. First, let's save as to my desktop because I'm not being organized today. Robot Bluezoo Savio. Okay, so a couple of different ways we could create this. I could just subdivide a cube and go about it that way. That would probably be a very reasonable way to do it, but I never do this. I think I'm gonna create, like, I'm going to spin something because merge at center. So I've got a single vert. And yeah, I'm going to actually just move that up. Active element. I'm going to start with the main body of my robot. I'm just going to map out this shape in some approximate form. And then I will add a subdivide surface to it. That seems like a good bet. And just move this until we get something like the shape I wanted. That looks pretty good to me. That's fairly accurate. I'm going to apply that. So now we've got lots of verts. And what we can do is we can spin this around the center, or screw it, which sounds ruder, but is the actual terminology in Blender, so you can't tell me off. There we go. So that's our shape. What we could consider, though, is how many... There's got to be an easier way of seeing this. There we go, we've got wireframe. So yeah, we'll just consider our wireframe as well, and I think that's actually not bad. You know, we can add further subdivision to it later, but I think that's a fairly manageable mesh. So with that done, let us actually, I'm going to duplicate. This is a base body, and I'm going to duplicate it because, oh no, don't do that, not that way. That will take you straight to the castle. Base body. I'm going to duplicate it, Shift D. I'm going to hide the original. Let's turn those on. I like to have those handy. And I'll apply the modifier on this. Actually, there's an easier way of doing that. Never mind. So, yeah, there we go. So we've got one which doesn't have a modifier applied and one which does, just in case I need to go back. And I think, there we go. That's the ring I'm looking for. So I'm just going to duplicate that piece of geometry, hit P to separate the selection. I'm going to step out, grab my... Don't you fight me. There we go. And I'm just going to, extrude that down. And I'm going to hit E and extrude. E and extrude. E, S, scale. I'm missing some of the commands. E to extrude. And now we have our rocket booster. Now, we don't have any detail on what the rocket booster looks like inside, so I'm going to guess. Extrude that in there, extrude again, take it up, and then maybe I could 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, fill, grid fill. Okay, nice clean geometry. What I'll do now is I think judging from the drawings, I think if I were to put a little half a sphere here, that wouldn't go amiss. Because I can see a little, I know this is the curves, of the thing, but I feel like, just for detail's sake, I could delete all that, and then scale on the Z. Just so we've got a bit of something in there. Great, okay, so I can combine those. J. Right. So I should name that rocket, because it looks like his means of propulsion. I'm making a lot of assumptions about the robot here. And now I need to somehow create the arm geometry, which is going to be less fun because there's no visible join in the drawings. So I can see there's something there. That's good. What should I do? I think... Not being very nimble today. I think I should add some geometry there so we get an approximate square. This might affect the smoothness later, so maybe I should actually... Do you know what I'll do? Rather than do that, I'm going to subdivide it again. Apply. Let's just see. Apply. Okay. So now I need to go to edit mode. I'm going to grab faces where this would intersect, which is now basically a square, and delete those faces. Actually, was that the smartest idea? Let's not do that for a second. Let's add a vertex group and assign it. Because again, a bit of subdivision would really help that. But, I've stuffed it now. So I think a good point now to do would be to make sure that this is actually mirroring, because we're about to do complicated changes, and I don't want to have to do them twice on each side. So delete those verts. And I can see a couple of stragglers. Oh, and somehow I've deleted the center point of it. Oh, that's because it wasn't created with the spin modifier. Good to know. So rare I use a spin is because I hadn't brought verts all the way to the center line. So that is something that happens. I can worry about filling that later, I guess. You watch, I'll forget and look like an amateur. Okay, what else do I need to do now? I need to put a mirror modifier on this. That'll do. That'll do, pig. That'll do. Oh, did I undo my... no, I didn't do the thing. I'm losing my mind today. Just checking that you guys aren't sending me emails whilst I'm doing this, telling me not to bother. Right. I think what I'll do is I will use the knife tool instead, and I'll just sort of... I'll go to X-ray. All right, conifer done. Snap cursor selected. To sphere. Just using double G to slide stuff into sphere again. Hopefully that has given us a reasonable you know, bit of geometry to delete. Or maybe not delete, because I could just hit E and extrude, and then we can have some seams on this later and make it look a little fancy. But now I've got that, I can duplicate this, hit P, separate selection, and then I've got something I could extrude out. You can see me trying to rush, making things harder on myself. So I could do that, I could extrude it out, but I think that arm, there's probably a better way of doing it. So let's do, what's the best way of doing this? I mean, it's a bit of a nerdy sort of shape, but we don't do NURBS. So I think I'm going to create a cube there, and then merge all the points in the center. I'm just going to hit G. What's going on? Oh yeah, I've got face selection on. That's not going to do anyone any good. So I'm going to, again, create a vert, and I'm just going to roughly create the shape. And then I'm going to spin it. Or screw it. Screw it. There we go. You can see here exactly the same problem as I had earlier, where it's gone a little bit, this time it's the opposite, it's gone past the line. I need to bring that down to there. But we got some geometry, that's good. So I'm just going to make sure it fits in the socket. Oh, naslag. Maybe I will extrude this out to get it to, so it's got a rounded, Because I think it's one of those things, like particularly when you're doing 2D characters and stuff, if you give them a ball, a rounded shape on a joint, then you can rotate it around and it doesn't disappear. So if I work on that basis, although it would intersect here, I don't know how this joint's supposed to work. So that's my issue. I'm a bit of a literal. I'm quite literal in how I sort of create characters, even cartoons, and that can be a bit of a pain point for my clients, I'm afraid. It doesn't work like that. It's not a real joint. Call yourself a mechanic. Bless you. I'm going to fire him later for interrupting my recording. I don't even know if you guys could hear him sneeze, but yeah, my colleague working behind me, he's dead sneezy. He's one of the dwarfs. I don't know why I'm saying this. I'm just going to pretend that none of that ever happened. Anyway. So, we have a limb. What else do we need? Right. 2. I'm going to duplicate it, hide that one. Actually, let's create a new collection, call it bin. We can just get rid of all the stuff we're not using currently, and probably won't use, our backup folder almost. Got our arm, and we'll apply that. Now, this is going to require fingers. Really want to see those fingers. Christ, how am I going to do these fingers? I can see it. I'm just making a joint there because I'm trying not to. I don't want to make the fingers. It's going to be tough. So, what can I do? What can I do to make you fingers? What can I do to model digits? Ah, bollocks. Pardon me, swears. Right, I suppose we could just do a cylinder and N-gons or triangle fans? That age-old question. Triangle fans. Okay. Now I'm looking at this from above. I feel like it's a bit too pointy. It's perfectly spherical yet pointy in parts. You get prizes if you know the films I'm quoting. They're quite flat, actually. So looking at this from a different angle, they're actually rather flat and quite adorable. And also, this is also quite flat, I think. Is that flattened? It's hard to tell. So yeah, look here. That is flattened. So it's tapering. Interesting. This is what I get for rushing and not looking at the blueprints properly. So snap cursor to selected, and then I'm going to turn on this and scale it a little bit. So it's round there, flat there. I feel like there could have been a more pleasing sort of way of doing this. So maybe 2 cube, is that a thing? Do we have a 2 cube or 2 square? Let's try 2 sphere. I think I haven't. Mesh transform. So it's under mesh transform to sphere. Well, if I do that and take it the other way, does it? That was wishful. Okay, so I guess what I could do is just take quadrants of it. think I might be over-egging this. Yeah, let's not over-egg that. We can maybe come back and sculpt a better shape once we understand what we're going to do with the fingers. The fingers, which are not going to be cylinders. Also, I'm going to make these unselectable. Move them to a folder called Ref. Excellent. Right, so let's have a look at those fingies again. Creating a cube, scale it on the Z. I have to assume they're going to be smaller than that because that's a bit of perspective in here. So I'm going to Alt-D, create linked duplicates of this so that I can sort of figure them all out together in the same sort of space. First thing we're going to need to do is give it some beveling. Anything that requires a mouse wheel, like beveling, is not easy to do with a stylus. Now, yeah, it seems to be a greater sort of... let's try that again. It's a greater bevel on the top, so that it's a very minor bevel on the bottom. Okay, now, can we see finger joints? We cannot. So I'm going to assume that they're going to be kind of like a faux mechanical sort of thing. They're going to be a little bit organic. But we are going to need snub divisions for that. Okay, I need an overhead view. I don't have an overhead view, so I'm just going to have to make do. But I can see from this that, yeah, it's not selected, but scale Y. Scale Y. Now, considering we've got that oddly shaped thing, maybe we should bulk it out this side as well, on this axis as well. There we go. That seems quite pleasing. I'm going to assume as well that the thumb is going to be at a bit of an angle. Now, I don't know if I will bother dealing with the intersections on here, as in how it intersects. Let's see how I do for time, because I am on the clock today. Also, now we've just got these shocking n-gons here, so we should probably deal with that. I mean, I could just extrude and scale. Do it that way. I don't know what I want to do. I think actually that'll, you know, for what this is, I think that'll be fine. We can always, it's easy enough to delete that geometry and figure it out later if we need to. I think I am going to need more geo on here though. Yeah, I think we'll have to mash this all up to get the bullet, maybe, to get what we need from that with finger intersections and all that jazz. So let's have a look at my almost never used tools over here. Inset faces. Right, we've got these cycles over here, which, I mean, genuinely, I'm not going to enjoy this. I hate cutting circles and stuff. Let's save. Good time as any to save. I mean, it's always a good time to save. Cylinder. I make this noise with my mouth when I'm thinking quite often. And once I did it off camera, and literally all the YouTube comments weren't about what an amazing tutorial, it was about 15 seconds he farts. That was a joy for me. The thing is, the more you try to explain something like that away, the guiltier you look. I just realised I haven't eaten my lunch yet, and it is 5:45. I think I need to show this like that. I think that should get us close to what I want. The difficulty is, yeah, I I'm not an expert at modeling stuff. I mean, I'm experienced, but I'm not like one of them old-timey pros over at the Blue Zoo. But I can see here that the line that they've drawn, I don't know how close to get it to that, because I can get a circle bevel on here, but I'd have to change the shape of this to get it to match. And maybe that's what I should do. I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm going to just take the easy way out for now. I say the easy way. It's not going to be easy, but I will start modelling around this. Now, I'm aware that what I'm doing with the knife tool is a bit of a crude way of doing things, but in my experience using Blender, if you want good topology, Booleans and other such sordid techniques are not always the benefit they seem. Now let's have a look at that reference again, because here we can see it's a cut out hole, so it's like a punch through. There it looks more solid, but that could just be that they've drawn the back wall in. I'm not sure what's intended here, but I'm gonna go with the slightly more interesting punch a hole through his arm, or at least an indent into his arm, I think. I want face select. There we go. And we're just going to hit E to extrude and pull it down. Now, I'm a little concerned about that topology now, because honestly, it's not great. There we go. Actually, no, the loop selects all the way around. I can't really complain about that. Oh, no, it doesn't select all the way around. Ha ha ha. So, this one is the outlier. So I'm going to get the conifer tool, and I'm going to do this again. I'm going to delete those edges. Really want to delete those edges. Dissolve them even. I mean, the good thing about Booleans and modifiers is you get to do a bit of a non-destructive workflow, but I feel like, you know, then you've got the worry that what if it doesn't apply at the end? What if it doesn't apply? Now, foolish mortal, what have you done? Right, so again, I took this too close to that and merged those vertices like a rank amateur. I don't know why amateurs have to be rank. I mean, rank meaning bad smelling, right? Do amateurs smell bad? This is one of those questions that no one will answer, because it's a stupid question. You missed one. Using C to paint my selection. And I'm just going to pause this for 1 minute. Okay, so just had to take a quick break to say goodbye to my my associate as he's gone home, because I said rude things about him on the video. No, because it's home time. So yeah, anyway, so we got that, and to be fair, it looks passable geometry-wise. Do I add bevels now? Do I add bevels later? Well, that's an age-old question we're going to answer with the subdivision surface modifier. So we can see how the geo subdivides and start worrying about how we're going to make this work. So the first thing I'm going to do is bevel this. It looks terrible. So before we do that, let's see what we can do. Just going to add a loop cut here. Select those two, hit J. We're going to contain this mess. That's interesting. I'm getting a terrible feeling of dread over this particular piece of geometry. I can think of smarter ways to do this, but they're all very time consuming. It's not awful. It's not exactly great either. I feel like we need more supporting geometry. Let's just try some stuff. Yeah, I fear this is going to absolutely torture me. I feel like I need another look at that reference. Such a cruel thing to put in there. What monster designed this? What maniacal it's one of you guys, isn't it? Genuinely, that's a tough piece of geo. at how that pulls. It's just awful. Now, I know how to do this. The smart way would have been to... You've got to count up the... You've got to count the faces and verts to make sure it's all even. And that is not what I've done. I may have to get rid of this and start anew. Well, not get rid of it, but you know what I mean. Get rid of this segment. Okay. Just reading a message from you guys. So nothing I have to action immediately, so that's good. So I need to see the wireframe. Now I need to bring up cycle. Yeah, that's approximately the right size. Now, how many divisions do we need? God, this is really hard to tell. Well, that definitely wasn't right. Right, this is an uneven shape as well, so this further adds to the complication. I think it might be a bit beyond me to actually get a decent thing of this. I wonder why that projects incorrectly. That seems better. Right. Okay. Now, can we join them? But will it blend? God, this is terrifying. Might have to delete that wrong. Absolute nonsense I'm doing here. Yeah, admittedly, this is actually a lot harder modelling task than I had hoped. I have to come back to that bad topology there and fix it in a moment. Oh dear, what have I done? Okay, so now we've got some bad topology here which we need to fix. So let's just do that. Seem to be missing a vert. Bother. This has kind of undone the neatness with which I was working. That keyboard shortcut was GGC. So if you want to drag something along the normals, but it's past the point of the... so GG will drag it along an edge, and then C will allow you to extend that forward in a peculiar fashion that is most useful. Anyway, I have approached this in a bit of a bass-backwards way, and that's fine, I guess. It's not exactly me showing... I mean, how often do you actually do work in front of a client? Do you know what I mean? Where you're literally going through everything. It's. I feel very naked, very vulnerable. You know, likey. Anyway, that looks okay. Terrified to see what happens when I do this. Look at that, that's a horrible pole. Like there's 5 points on that. That shouldn't be the case, so we need to do something about this. V GG. The GG doesn't work there. Okay, good to know. GG. GG. How do we get this one on this side and this horrible mess on this side? That's what I want to know. I think there's a better way of doing this. It is a little cleaner. Now, do we have any more poles? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, how the heck am I going to fill that? Do I even have to? We don't know what it looks like in that robot's arm. I suppose what I could do is snap my cursor selected, scale to Z, and actually have it flat rather than... Yeah, that'll do. And then I can Worry about other things. Grid fill. Again, we get horrible polling there. You know, it might be time for a triangle fan. That's a very uncomfortable triangle fan. And of course, this is because it's a triangle. The deforming geometry there is going to be awful, and it's on a joint. Such a cruel, cruel piece of design. It's really going to test these guys. I need that to be there, but now that makes that a 5-pointed bit, which I'm not happy about. So maybe I can dissolve those edges. Now, there is a line in this drawing, but there's no need for it to be geometry, I suppose. But again, it's hard to say what they want. Let's get rid of this triangle mess. I've spent far too long on this arm. I mean, normally I would go to the client for clarification on what was actually happening here. But I think I'll just go with my gut and hope. Also, I could have sworn I deleted that mess. Going with my gut seems like such a risky choice. So, what if I were to do that, and then maybe blend from shape. feels like a bit of a cheat. I mean, maybe we could put a seam in there. I don't know. I think I will leave it off for now, and it can be painted in as a texture or something along those lines. Seek clarification to what's needed. Or I could just break it apart. That would work. Let's duplicate this. What if this is a ball joint and we put a sphere in there? Scale it down. Is it something like that? I mean, these are still going to intersect. Tricky. Tricky, 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 tricky. Let's move on. Okay. So we've got some inset faces there, and we could probably need to do a bool of some sort for that face. Yeah, so we've got T-line. That. God damn it. I think my brain might have stopped working. Oh, this is brutal. This is all getting a bit hacky now. Not something I enjoy. Well, now's not the time to get precious. I mean, it's not good, but it's certainly not the worst. Excuse me, I spat a little. Not the worst topology I've ever done, to my shame. Oh, but that's pretty bad. I can't even tell what's happening. So I'm going to have to delete the face. That's... And triangles. Never mind triangles. I don't hate tries. What have I done there? Christ. Okay, I'm going to go and say that, yeah, modeling those lines probably A little over ambitious, considering I wanted to be done in an hour. Oh, I'm never getting out of this topology hell. What was I thinking? It's livable, I suppose. It's not very consistent. I really don't like how that edge is looking. I guess I could pixel peep at this all day, but that's not what I'm gonna do. Yeah, it's gonna have to suffice for now. But again, this was meant to highlight pain points, and let's face it, I am finding them in abundance. Horrible, horrible triangle fans. Right. Oh, did it not do the... after all that, and it didn't even do the back seam. Most annoying. Okay, well, we'll worry about that once I've applied the mirror modifier. So we need to tackle this. This face is just going to be... I mean, then again, there's no inset on it, so maybe I can just cheat a bit. And... now, what would be better? A UV sphere, I guess. Rotate. That's peculiar. Very different dimensions. I think what I'll do is I'll actually duplicate that, rotate on the X, oops, rotate on the Y 90 degrees, scale it down, and have that as an eye. So, yeah, I think what I'd have to do is give a material to this to make it transparent. What else have we got to do? I've got to fix that arm. Or decide what I'm going to do with that arm. That's weird. Why has it done that? Oh, of course, it's because of the mirror modifier. Wow, that is an insane number to need to merge to. I'm going to have to do that later, I think, because that is not going to play ball. Okay. And what was I doing? Yep, I am not enjoying that. So, and if I'm not enjoying it, I doubt you will either. Oh, that's horrific. Something freaking stupid is happening there. Anyway, I think I've decided not to go with that one and to go with this one because it's closer to actually something. Pop the sphere back in there. just happened to my sphere? Okay. There we go. That will do. Let's just even up these verts. Whoop, whoop. That's horrible, but can I fix it in a relatively cost-effective manner? I mean, that seemed better. Wow. Is that what it actually looks like? I'm a bit perplexed. There seems to be quite a lot of odd stuff happening as I switch between modes today, and I'm not sure why. For instance, just look at that, the difference in this between edit mode and... Oh, is it because I did a shape key or something? There is a shape key. That's just dumb. So I've been editing this as a shape key because I did that whole thing earlier. Oh, and now it's doing that bug that Blender likes to do occasionally, where it imposes the shape key even after you delete them. But that's a way around it. So, thank God I remembered. Right. I'm glad I managed to fix that horror show. I just need to tidy this up again, even though I just did it. There we go. So that should see us right. Although there's a bit of level issue here. There you go. Okay, so I think I'm about there with this. Yeah. Now, in some of those pictures, the fingers appear more rounded. So I think I'll probably... Right, so we have fingers. Parent those to the arm, arm to the body. Visor, just name everything. Just naming everything. I'm going to join those actually. And so now I'm just going to do a little bit of an organizational trick. So I'm going to grab those. I'm going to set their origins to the 3D cursor. Then I'm going to add a mirror modifier. Is there a particular reason that's being weird? Let's apply scale. Let's apply rotation. Let's apply it all. There we go. So there we go. We seem to have a character. We need to parent that to that. So that's the actual modeling task done, well, as far as I'm concerned. And obviously it needs to be UV'd. So if I move that around, it'll move, so that's good. It needs to be UV'd and given materials and such. So let's do that really quickly. I'm not going to waste time on this. I mean, the UVing is something which would take way too long, I think. So maybe I'll go metal. And we'll just dial it up. Let's get a material. textures in here which might be useful. Ooh, fancy. Why didn't that apply? I have lost my the texture folder I was literally just looking in. Okay, so I think I need to new the cylinder projection. That doesn't work very well. Okay, so one of the best things about this is these seams here are going to make it real easy to hide the joins. The mark seam. Okay, that's some bad topology right there. But again, I'm not going to worry about it. I've got plenty to do as there is. So I need to see the modifiers on this. So let's turn on modified edges. Is this me or is that still joined? It looks like it's still joined at the... This is why I said I wouldn't flipping unwrap it, and then I couldn't help myself, could I? The OCD got the better of me, and I now am unwrapping it like a flipping idiot. Ugh. Okay, now I need to mix RGB. think, yeah, what I'll do is I'll actually use this for roughness. There we go. That'll get us a bit more interest without it being quite so full on and in your face. Although I'll use a math node to okay, that is not working the way I have come to expect math nodes to work. So I will go to my Jesus Christ, I'm falling apart. My trusty color ramp. There we go. Oh, what the hell is going on there? I cannot understand why the merge is overdoing its job so much. But it is, and it's pissing me off. Let's apply, we're going to have to apply this mirror, and then what the hell is going on here? Ah, of course. Flipping mirror bug. Just recalc. Well, that was a farce, but it's done now and probably broken more geometry than it fixed. Damn it. I was right. This is... Well, this has turned into a joke, hasn't it? I think... Obviously, I'm assuming I'm trying to do this to a different standard of topology to most of your candidates will be attempting. Either that, or I'm just really bad at my job. Who knows? Certainly has surprised me how tricky I found this. Right. Just going to check for normals. Okay. Everything is a damn chore. Yep, and emerging stuff. I have knackered the geometry over here again. But now I've got to fix it on two sides. I think it's something to do with the scale that I set it at. Even though it seemed like a fairly large scale, but mirroring cannot handle it. It just keeps picking up the things as closer edges than it should be. It's very frustrating, and yeah, I don't really know what to say about it other than that. That doesn't seem too bad. It's weird, I work with the mirror modifier daily and I've never had problems quite as bad as that. Okay, I'm going to add some glass. Oh, I think I've got a shader for all this, so I'm not going to waste too much time. Where's my materials gone? I can't see the stuff for looking at it. Okay, so I think I've been doing this a bit too long now because my brain has started to trickle out my ear. I'll do my very best to wrap this up a little quicker. Got to make sure this can actually display properly. And everything's gone slow. There we go. That'll do. And again, we'll add the metal material. Curious slowdowns. Considering the speed of my machine, I'm very surprised at these weird little hiccups I seem to be getting at the moment. Okay, not my finest hour, but I think that will have to do for now. I could at least... it's going to be tricky. Let's just save it. Yeah, that will have to do for now. I simply don't have any longer to muck around with this. But, you know, I can't remember how to drop out the background. Where's the HDRI's gone? There we go. We have a funky robot guy. So there we go. That's me robot. That took way longer than I hoped. It was truly a painful experience. I could render out a quick spin if you should so desire. And obviously we have a wireframe. You can see it's fairly clean considering, but you've got elements in here that are truly challenging for any modeler. I mean, I appreciate a modeler who is daily modeling and has the experience, won't be phased by it, but it's still a tricky, you know, cutting circles in hard surface curves. That's rough, man. That's real rough. At least I think it is. Maybe I'm just, I don't know. Maybe I'm very much mistaken or something. But yeah, I mean, I haven't really done a paint over so much as throw some pre-made materials on it. That's my method. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. I tell you what, I'll take a breath, shall I? There we go. So yeah, in summary, there's some truly challenging topology in there, even though it's an overwhelmingly simple form. Something else is like the joints of a robot like that. If you want them to realistically deform, then you'd have to design them as a mechanism. But I don't think you do want them to. I think it's going to be quite a flexy, bendy robot, in which case we're all good. I don't know if you wanted, you know, this robot rigged as part of the challenge. It hasn't been mentioned so far, but it did occur to me that maybe that was something that you wanted to see. Yeah. The extent of the, like, I haven't painted any materials or done any decals and stuff, but obviously this robot is really right up for that. you know, a little bit of paint would do this fella some good. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like if we look at the reference stuff, it's a tough one because there's a lot to interpret. You know, a lot to sort of guess at. That seam didn't want to happen on the back. Obviously, I could make it happen, but it's one of those things. It was like the mirroring modifier was just absolutely eating that up, and I'm not quite sure why. It might be something changed in this version of Blender. It's an adorable little fella, mind. He really is cute. But yeah, this, I wasn't sure what this was supposed to be. This circle. Oh, I've put the camera back on. Yeah, so he's a really, really cute little guy. But things I was unsure about is this. What is it supposed to be? How is it supposed to be? So I did my best to interpret. Obviously, there's no like joins and stuff around the arm, so I haven't made it seamless. I've made it actually countersink sort of thing there, which has sort of worked. Again, the fingers, same thing, and no joints on these fingers. So again, you know, sorry, I suddenly have the overwhelming urge to see him in a sort of white, like Apple sort of product, white, clean thing. But yeah, it's quite tricky to figure out what exactly was wanted. You know how it should be, and I'm sure that that's part of the challenge you intended. But yeah, I did find it more difficult than I expected. So yeah, I think I'm just going to stop the video here because I'm sort of backtracking and waffling over stuff. I think simply because I fried my mind doing this and attempting to do this quickly whilst talking about it. But yeah, it's a very challenging piece to do. I think you will learn a lot about your candidates doing it. Frustrate a lot of them a little bit as well, which is actually a valuable lesson. And yeah, hopefully you'll have some gorgeous robots at the end. I hope the video's been useful because that took way too long. And yeah, that's me done. Okay, cool. Thank you very much.